All right, we're being asked to simplify the square root of 63 times x to the fourth times y to the ninth. What we first need to do is identify all of the perfect squares. And this is different for the numbers and the variables. First and foremost, let's look at 63. 63 we want to write as the multiplication of two numbers of which one is a perfect square, or the largest perfect square. What I'm going to use is the fact that 63 is 9 times 7. I'm using this version. 63 is also 3 times 21, but I'm using this because I want this perfect square 9. It's going to play nicely with the square root. So 63 is written as 9 times 7. For x to the fourth, I'm going to leave that as it is. That's going to work out just nicely with my square root. And y to the ninth, what I need to do with y to the ninth is I'm going to write that as y to the eighth times y. This is a fancy way of writing y to the ninth, but most importantly here is that with my variables, I need these exponents here to be divisible by 2 because the square root has an index of 2. All right, let's get to the action then. That was all of the main work. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this radical up. I'm going to split it up between the stuff that's a perfect square, or the factors that are perfect squares, and the factors that aren't perfect squares. So in this case right here, this is a perfect square, x to the fourth is a perfect square, and y to the eighth is a perfect square. Again, exponential expressions are the x to the fourth and the y to the eighth. They're perfect squares if their exponents are divisible by 2. And you'll see why. But this would then become, so the first square root I'll have here is the square root of 9 x to the fourth and y to the eighth. In my other square root here, I'm just going to put whatever is left over. That's going to be the 7 and this extra y that I had pulled off. So again, what we have here is the square root on the right is what I would call like the leftovers. The square root on the left are everything that I can take the square root nicely. Now, I'm going to square root each of these factors in this first one. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of x to the fourth is x squared, because I divide that exponent by 2. The square root of y to the eighth is y to the fourth. For the same reason, I divide the exponent by 2, and then I'm left with this leftover or remainder square root of the 7 and the y, who can't in any useful way get out of the square root, so I leave them there. This is my final simplified answer.